Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, great. I don't have my water here as marketing, I promise. It's just because I get thirsty. How's everyone's day been? Good? I was just talking with Hunter. We both were saying how we've had pretty epic, crazy days. Mine included being here, speaking in front of you all today with vomit from my baby behind me. So, nice and bland, but it's the real life. And I guess today I have an amazing opportunity. For some reason my presentation is going right to the end. Is there something that can help me with this? I don't know how to use this. You think I would have learned how to use a computer at uni, right? We just go straight. I guess before we get into the presentation, I just want to show you one of my proudest achievements. And it would be a great achievement if I could share it. This is little Jed, hence why I got this big with me today. And it does say there the smuggle is real, because it really is. And he's one of the smilingest, happiest babies, but obviously don't be fooled. There are those days where it is hard. And one of our absolute greatest achievements. And today I've got such an honour of coming to share with you about also the achievement of starting up Thankyou. But I don't want to leave here today just saying this is what I've done, but more to give you some takeaway points that you can hopefully learn from things that I've learned from along the way and that have helped me to and helped us to actually get to where we are today with Thankyou. Which is, who here has heard about Thankyou water before? Yeah, everyone. Hands up if you've heard the Thankyou water story. Just a couple. It's probably nearly half of the room. Well, hopefully I can leave you with some, different takeaway points today as well, and we'll have the time to discuss as well. But we always say, just for those who haven't heard the story, can I get a show of hands in the hand? Can I get a show of hands in the room today? If you just think that bottled water, the concept of it, and my hand's up for this, so don't be afraid. The concept of bottled water is a little bit silly. Like why pay $2 or $3 for something that you get for free right from the tap? Now can I get another show of hands if in this place you've ever bought a bottle of water? Yeah, here we go again. See, when I was actually in my first year, I came across these two realities. I came and stayed with my husband Daniel, who at the time was my boyfriend, and he was sharing with me these ideas that we've got these two extremes. One extreme was that we spent $600 million on the bottled water industry. That's just in Australia alone. Worldwide is $50 billion. Something as ridiculous as bottled water. And we were like, where is this money going to? Who's actually getting this money? Then at the same time, there was 900 million people who didn't have access to safe water. And it just didn't seem fair. It didn't seem right. And so we were like, well, we've got to be able to do something about that. Now, we were passionate, we were eager, we were like, yeah, we were naive enough to think we can change the world, we can try this thing. But yet at the same time, it's whenever we shared the idea to people, and it was this idea, let's start our own bottled water company. Let's give all of the profits away to help those people who really need it the most. And every time we shared the idea to our mentors, they'd be like, look, I'm really experienced, this has never been done before. You can't give all your profits away. You need to be able to, get startup capital to keep growing the business and reinvesting it back into the business. It won't work. We're told, wait till you finish uni, wait till you focus on your education first and you've actually got some experience behind you in the real world. We were told, maybe wait till you get some money behind you and you have a bit of a nest egg. And there were all these really good, well-meaning advice. But something inside of us went, we can't, we can't wait. We need to be able to get out there now and to start making a difference now. I think the other thing too is we knew that there were all these excuses as well, the excuses within us that went, well maybe we are too young, maybe we don't have enough experience, maybe they're right. But we stepped out and went, okay, let's just try this and see what happens. What happened is we worked out that we needed $250,000 to run our first run of production. That's a lot of money. We were first year uni students, like a complete joke that we had a combined network, which is the term that rich people used, of about $1,000. I remember my car at the time was pretty much falling apart, so was Daniel's. Daniel had this massive hole in his shoe, and when he would walk around, it would actually fill up with water. And we couldn't afford to get a new pair of shoes. That and also too the fact that he's a size 14 shoe, so it was a bit hard to find shoes at the time. So thanks, Laura. I didn't get a fun. That's why I bring her along, so she laughs at my jokes. It was a hard time for us, and we were up against something big and real here, and that was that we needed this money. So what happened from there is we had gone from factory to factory to factory, and we tried to work out exactly what we needed to do. At the same time, we didn't actually know what we needed to do, so when we were asked questions, we literally had to just be like, yeah, can't really tell you that because it's confidential. Now, most of it was really just that we didn't know what we were doing or what we were talking about, but as we continued to go from factory to factory to factory, we actually realised exactly what we needed by the end. So then the last factory we went to, we told him everything, and we said, we pulled down that facade, that confidential facade, we told him everything. He sat back in his chair and went, this is incredible. I'm going to pay all your upfront costs for you, and you pay me back once you've actually sold the product. We managed to get I'll try and shorten the story for those who've heard it, because I know there's a lot in this room today. We managed to get a distributor on board with us. This distributor only takes on big brands like your Lipton, your Red Bull, all those kind of brands. And we were told, no, you can't get into that. They won't even look at you. Somehow we got a 15-minute meeting with them. 2 hours into that 15-minute meeting, we came out with our first order of 50,000 bottles. So we had our factory lined up, we had, the cash flow rolling with that, then we had our first order and we were ready to go. And then we realised that this is all happening so fast that we hadn't done things such as like register your business, trademarks, all those important things. And so we needed $20,000 of hard cash to actually be able to make that happen. We had a business mentor who we had told the story to, and by this time we were like, what's the point of telling you what we're doing now? Like everyone's just shutting it down. So we just caught up with him just to catch up in general. And he said, how's that little water thing going? I'm like, oh yeah, we've got a factory and we've got a distributor. He was like, oh look, what do you need? How can I help you? And he gave us, in the end, long story short, he gave us $20,000 as a gift, a once-off gift donation to be able to take people to the next level. So I'm going to fast forward because here we are, is where everything was going, but then we realised that the struggle is real. We hit the realities of business. See, that first order that we had a pallet delivered to Daniel's parents' garage. And I remember that day so well, so clearly. It was amazing. It was like our dream had become a reality. We started, the boys were pulling the bottles off the pallet and it was so exciting. And then I saw their faces just drop. And I was shattered. I was like, what is going on, guys? Tell me, what is happening? And there was just this dead, sick silence. And then I realised that around the bottle, the label was scrunched up around the bottle to the point where you couldn't even read it. We had to pull out the distributor, that one that only gives like big brands a chance. We had to call him and say, hey, this is what's happened. Now, he wasn't so nice about it. There were lots of colourful language and quite angry. He was like, do you realise that you're asking me to do a national recall? Do you realise that this ruins big brands? He was like, do you realise that you're not even a big brand yet? I'm like, thank you. And then he said, do you realise that I don't give second chances? And lucky for us, he gave us a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth chance, because what happened from here was this journey of us realising this factory that promised us the world, that actually got us off the ground, then stopped producing for us, or it came out with quality control issues. It was having all these issues after issue after issue. 3 years into the journey, we had 350 customers around Australia, and we had to slog our guts out for that. We were doing uni, we were working part-time jobs. It was full-on hard work. And we had 350 customers, and then we lost 300 of those customers. And we were like, what the heck are we doing? Why are we even doing this? And that's when we realised, right, that in life's roughest storms prove the strength of the anchor. Because we went through all these incredible hard times through those 3 years. And what happened is we realised it was your why that is your greatest anchor. You see, we had the opportunity to go to Cambodia. And when we went to Cambodia, it was there we got to see some of the projects that we'd won. And I spoke to this lady and I said, how has life changed for you? now that you've got access to safe water. I remember this story, it's just left an impacting moment for me. She said, well, you know, we don't have to spend all of our money just on medical expenses anymore. I was like, that's great, what do you spend your money on now? And she's like, oh, this plough. And she showed me this motorized plough. At first I was like, oh great, a plough, you know, wow. But then it really resonated in me. And this plough actually represents her family now having the opportunity to start lifting themselves out of poverty. To be able to start, instead of the money being just used on medical expenses, it's now been invested. And it's able to continue to grow and to be able to build that family as they step up. It was an incredible moment. I also saw kids being able to go to school because they're no longer sick all the time from waterborne diseases. And what that signified to me was the ability to be able to give these kids the chance to dream, to be able to go and get an education, to be able to be something when they grow up. I realised that this is my why, and this is why I'm doing it. And as things and situations that came up continued to get tough, we had retailers that we pitched to copy our idea. After us spending about 6 months or 9 months, we had competitors come in after us spending about a year working on a fast food chain that would help 60 to 90,000 people over a year receive access to safe water. We had a competitor come in and steal that deal off us just in the last minute, just by putting $100,000 on the table for something else. And it was these things that we were just felt so helpless with, and it was just such a struggle, but it was this why that kept us going. We learned that leaders are learners. We learned that this is actually something that I've actually got a lot right. I think of those people, right, or that person who said, guys, I don't think the world is flat. Think about that person for a moment, that pioneer who said, let's test it. Let's test to see if the world is flat. They had to step out and to go on a path that is unknown. They didn't know what the climate was in front of them. They didn't know what they were going to come up against. They had to convince a team to go with them and to discover if the world really was flat or not. They didn't know what climates were coming up, but they had to learn each step of the way. And I feel like that's been our thing with Thankyou, is that where we're going hasn't actually been done before. And so every step and everything that we're doing, we're learning as we go. We had when we came back from Cambodia, we had this incredible opportunity where we had Sunrise feature Thankyou. They did 13 minutes of airtime, which is absolutely unheard of. Even when they were filming us, they said, look, you'll only get a couple of minutes max, just to manage your expectations. And thankfully, they gave us 13 and a half minutes time. What this meant for us is that our 1-300 number got smashed. Now, just to give you a little bit of idea about our 1-300 number, it sounds real professional, but it was actually memorable. So I'm nannying and doing uni, and my phone was going off the hook. It was like going crazy, and I was literally like, oh, no, I can't handle this. There was, I was needing to drive and deliver orders out to Sunshine, wherever that is. It's not a sunny place, I tell you. And it was literally just crazy at times. And this is after I came back from Cambodia and seen it for myself, and I had to then remember again, okay, in these times, it's the why. And it had to be core and an anchor for me during that. We'd always seen Thankyou being more than just water. We'd seen it being a food range as well, so you might have some of these muesli bars in there. We have a food range that funds food programs as well in developing countries. Another one that I'm really excited about is our body care range. This particularly I'm passionate about it because in that trip in Cambodia, we had this guy come to us and he said, can you please fund latrines? And he was pleading with us to fund latrines. And he was telling us that the reason why was because women were having to leave the safety of their village to go to the toilet. And in doing so, they were being attacked and killed. And it had happened to at least 20 women just in that particular region that we were in. But it was something that just kept happening. So we're like, how do we supply? How do we find a way to be able to fund hygiene and sanitation? To be able to provide safety, to be able to provide empowerment. And so we did that through our body care range, and it was another exciting range. Every single one of these products has a unique code on it. You can put this code on into our online app, and it will show you the GPS coordinates of the project that exact product has been assigned to fund. If you sign in, you'll be able to get a report show you all the details of it, and you'll get a photo when that project has been complete and a report on how the project went. We realised that trailblazers don't have Google Maps. So even at this point now, you're probably thinking that it still doesn't sound like it's gone great for you. And at this point we hadn't. We hadn't got into any retailers. We tried all the traditional way. Every retailer they went to, they were like, yeah, but where's your $3 million marketing campaign? And who's actually behind you? Where's your data? We're like, data? We've got a few people on Facebook that like us. To which they were like, yeah, whatever, Facebook. So what we did is we decided to change the game a bit. We decided to trail a new path. We decided to do things untraditionally. And some of you might know this, but we did this Coles and Woolworths campaign. Now people tell us that you can't put Coles and Woolworths in the same sentence. Our designer didn't seem to have too much of a problem. He just went Coles and Woolworths. And we started this campaign. It was a crazy campaign that was really out there. And we got a lot of attention just from doing this campaign. Because I think people were more like, what the heck are they doing? Are they setting themselves up for Australia's biggest public face plant? And to some degree, we probably thought we were as well. We launched this campaign where we had this video. We hoped to be able to reach 10,000 people across 2 weeks. Instead, we reached 99,000 views of the video. We had 15 high-profile lists jumping forward with us, and we had a total of 90 media mentions across the campaign. We reached 15 million people across Australia. And then it got to a point where we were like, this is great, we're getting all this buzz and all this attention, but the people at Coles and Woolworths, right? So what we had done is we asked everyone to upload videos saying, Coles and Woolworths, if you stock the Thankyou range, I'd buy it. And we got thousands of posts come through, we got videos of people doing dances and jingles and all that sort of stuff, which was really awesome and just blowing us away. But we were like, the people at Coles and Woolworths probably can't see this because they're not allowed on their social media because they're so busy working. So what can we do? So we got this guy to donate this sign, bigger than any billboard that there is in Melbourne, this sign, and it says, hey Coles, thank you for changing the world, in brackets, if you say yes. We had a helicopter company donate their services, and they flew it across the city during peak hour traffic, and then around the head office for about half an hour. I was like standing underneath trying to take photos, and I'm like, they're not seeing this is really awkward. And then we did the same for Woolworths. It says, hey Woolworths, together we can change the world, in brackets, if you say yes. So what was crazy was within a few hours, they turned around and said yes. What usually happens is they come back to you and they take weeks and weeks to try and get a decision and work out if they can put you on the shelf and all that sort of stuff. So because we've done this campaign, right, I don't usually tell people this story, but I feel like you guys need some new stories here because you might have heard this one before. We had worked so hard, like so incredibly hard doing. We finished the presentation at 3 a.m. in the morning, as you usually do. You used to assignments right before it's due, right? We go in, we pitched to Coles, and then we signed up. Danielle and I were like, we're done, we're going to go and watch a movie. So we go in to watch Wolverine, and we're sitting in at the cinemas. The next minute the phone rings and Dan goes up to go get, I just thought he went to go get drinks actually. And then he comes back to me and he's like, we've got to go back to the office. I'm like, what's happened? He just looked like really freaked out. And I'm like, what's happening? Has something bad happened? Can you tell me what's going on? And so I get up and I'm taking my popcorn because we only just sat down. And I'm getting my popcorn, walking out of the cinema to the shopping centre, and he's telling me, hey, Coles important, they want to take on this brand, they want to take on this product, and this one, and this one, and this one. And I'm just like, I'm still in Wolverine land. I'm just like, Hugh Jackman wants to, what? You know, like, I was just like so confused. It was so amazing. It's such an exciting time. But what that meant is we really got no rest. We then had to work a way to get production ramped up as fast as we can, because Coles and Woolworths then started competing with each other on who was going to get it on the shelf the quickest, which was absolutely amazing. And this is a little bit of a snapshot on our journey. Those first 3 years were tough. We made about $7 grand the first year. We made $200 extra the year before. The year after. The third year was about $10,000. And it was during those years that we're like, why are we even doing this? What's even the point? Like, we could go work proper full-time jobs right now and give so much more from our incomes. But then it continued to grow, and to date, we think that, well, actually, it's even higher than that now, but from what I'll just say there is $3.7 million that we've now been able to give. We then just recently have taken it to the next level. We launched a new campaign. And I encourage you to go check this out. This is a video of Daniel walking backwards, and basically he talks about this story today. And he says one thing that you might have picked up on that I said in the beginning. The model doesn't work, right? One of the guys is laughing. He goes, "You're in the video. Are you in the video?" Oh, you know that! You did too. Thank you. I'll leave it up on this slide for the people so everyone can admire your work. Where was I with the story? So at the beginning I said that there's something wrong with our model and that there is a flaw. And there is. And that the flaw is that we give all of our profit away. So how do we continue to grow? And we want to start the next chapter of Thankyou. We want to go on to the next venture. But how do we do that? So we talk about the impact we've had so far. And then we talk about this book. This book is called Chapter 1. It's got all the stories about where we've got to so far. We call it Chapter 1 because we believe that we haven't made it yet. We believe that there's still so much more that we've got to go, but in the last 8 years there's been enough takeaways. And that we didn't want to write the book when we have made it, because we want people to come on the journey with us. So we've got this book. It challenges the way you think. It's even written sideways because let's challenge the way we think all the time. And we talked about how we want to launch a nappy range and a baby range and Thai baby range. And what that's going to fund is maternal and infant health in developing countries. We talked about how we want to launch in New Zealand and get the Kiwis on board with us and I see someone smiling in the back. Are you a Kiwi? No?
No, this is New Zealand. This is great. See, you go there.
Ah, awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. So there you go, New Zealand. And we talked about how we needed $1.2 million to raise this if we're being conservative. We talked about how competitors have millions of dollars to launch this sort of stuff. So we decided to launch that book. That book I told you about, Chapter 1, all the profit is going to fund this, the next stage of Thankyou. And we told people that they can pay what they want. And what happened is as we launched this campaign and it was pay what you want in airport, news agencies and stuff, as they pay what they want, we had people paying like as small as $5 for a book. I don't know, maybe someone did buy it for $2. And then we had the highest was what, $1,000, do you think, Laura? So it was absolutely crazy because they weren't just paying for the book, they were paying for the funding of Chapter 2. And that is this next stage of Thankyou. That's Daniel pointing. We got 80,000 books delivered going because we had no idea. And he committed to being in that warehouse packing until we reached the $1.2 million. As we were doing that, we were like, what the heck are we committed to? He was literally there, and there was days where we had no orders. And we're like, if we go on the rate we're going to now, Dan's going to be here for 56 weeks packing books. And why did we do this? I really missed him a lot during that week. But it was an incredible time. And there we go. And that's it. So I'm going to leave it here because some of my other takeaways I think we can talk about on the panel as we continue to, and you have questions and answers. But some of the things that I do want to leave you is just to challenge the way you think. And if you want to see something new created, to step out, to remember that sometimes we have to blaze trails and we have to learn as we go. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.